All right, welcome to the post-game podcast. Jerry Recco's out with Rutgers, so I've got the Eddie Scozzare with me. Good morning, Eddie.
Hello, podcast people and YouTube person.
Yeah, the YouTube person. That is Nicole, by the way, is the YouTube person.
Oh, hi, Nicole.
Unfortunately, I think she used to be a listener to the podcast, and now that she's watching on YouTube, we probably dropped one audio podcast listener.
Yes, and hi to Jeff Green in Bulgaria.
Jeff Green in Bulgaria. Shout out to Bulgaria. We're very big in Bulgaria.
We're huge.
You've heard like David Hasselhoff was like a very big pop star in Germany, I believe it was. That's how this program is in Bulgaria.
And ABBA in Australia.
Also huge, ABBA in Australia, exactly. Sometimes things don't hit in the United States.
Right, yeah, you just find your niche.
Yeah, you people like terrible things like Taylor Swift concerts and things like that. You
Careful, Al.
point your nose up at us. What happened? Oh, she'll get me
Yes.
the Swifties. I'm just kidding. I love Taylor Swift. I love Dear John. That's my favorite song. I don't know if you were able to. I know sometimes you, or maybe all the time you do, you listen to the podcast and you go through things looking for inappropriate language that you then take out of context. But yesterday I did a story about a country artist, Luke Combs, who is suffering from a particular type of OCD with obsessive thoughts. And I will tell you that a lot of people reached out to me privately on DMs or through email that they were happy to hear somebody discussing this because they suffer from this. And, you know, sometimes when you suffer from something that you think you're the only one suffering from it. So sometimes when you hear other people's things, it's comforting to know you're not the only person. Did anything in that register with you? Like, do you have any sort of obsessive compulsive thoughts or behaviors that you do?
I wouldn't say thoughts, but certain behaviors, like, I heard Jerry talking about always having to have the volume on an even number.
Yeah.
I don't suffer from that, but there's certain particular little things that did I set the alarm? I go back and check it maybe twice sometimes.
Yeah.
But nothing that's debilitating where I can't, move on with my day and do the things I have to do. And the more I'm distracted by, I got to do this, then that other stuff just falls away.
Yeah.
So it doesn't interfere. And that particular aspect of OCD that you mentioned with the negative thoughts, I had never considered that to be part of OCD. I thought if you just have negative or depressing thoughts, it was maybe just a form of depression. But it sounds like there's a subtle distinction
Yeah.
between obsessing over a thought rather than just being depressed. I don't really fully understand it.
Yeah.
But it sounds as if that's what it might be.
Yeah. I did get a nice email from a man whose name shall remain anonymous. He had requested, he said we could certainly read his email and things, but he wanted to be remain anonymous. It was the type of OCD we were talking about is called pure O. And I guess the O stands for obsessive thoughts. Pure O. So this guy chimed in and he said that he suffers a very similar thing where he has these thoughts. He said could be something like sexual in nature, where you're lusting for a specific woman, where a normal healthy brain can look at her and say, she's attractive. I would, in theory, like to be with her. However, it's not going to happen. She's married and you move on. An obsessive brain will play the thought out over and over again. Or, for example, it can be in the context of a relationship where a healthy mind thinks, we're friends. Of course he likes golfing with me. And that turns into obsessive thoughts of maybe he doesn't like me. Maybe he's only golfing with me as a favor. And it goes on, he says. The difference from OCD is that the thought doesn't lead to a compulsion. It stays a thought, but it gets obsessed over. Let's see. And then he said what happens is he uses a part of the brain here, Eddie, you're probably familiar with, the amygdala. He says how this works in the amygdala. He says that part of your brain that is the fight or flight. He says in a normal brain will release in extreme stress situations. You're being mugged. You're in a car accident. He said the obsessive brain, it will release that in just your having all these thoughts. So you're left with extreme anxiousness and a racing mind. This guy did say that he did get medication. I did write him back and asked him what type. He said Zoloft
Mhm.
really, like, changed his life.
Hmm.
So I guess that's the thing to do is, if you have this, then, yeah, you have to I know some people are very much against, like, taking medications for that,
Sure, because it
but
feels that it changes their personality.
yeah, but I think in a situation like this, if you need something to break your obsessive thought, then you gotta do that.
Mhm,
And like this guy says, it was a game changer for him.
mhm. And I know, like, schizophrenics, when they're on their meds, they're fine, but they don't like the way they feel, so they stop taking them, and then
Yeah.
it's just a cycle
Right, because all these medications do have they make you tired, or they make you excited,
or
or they
spaced out.
spaced out. Yeah. It's like a balancing act with some of these things.
And it sounds like it's different from when you lock in on the drones or this or
Yes.
that, but it sounds like it's different. It's not the same sort of a thing.
Yeah, I'll tell you another I have a weird thing that I think about all day long, which is very strange, but it
Mm,
doesn't I don't feel like it's overtaking me, and it's a very strange thing to run through my head constantly. In my head, I run through Tom Brady in a shotgun, gets the shotgun snap,
mhm,
fake quick throw, across like
mhm.
a quick fakes the quick slant and throws a deep ball. I run that through my head hundreds of times a day.
Really?
Yeah,
But it's not negative.
it's not
It's
negative.
not really anything,
It isn't anything.
but
Yeah.
it doesn't it's not debilitating.
No, but when
Where
my mind is at rest,
right.
that's where it
That's where you
goes.
go. Interesting.
And in some instances, I'm playing the Madden video game, which I have not played in a decade probably.
Mhm.
At least a decade, probably longer, probably 15 years. And in the video game, I'm taking the snap always as Tom Brady, always in shotgun. Sometimes I throw the slant if it's there. Sometimes I fake the slant and throw the deep ball. But it goes when I caught myself like I was walking the dog, I'm doing it. I'm taking the snap, da da da.
And then where does it end with the receiver catching the ball and going to the end zone, or where does it stop? After you release the ball?
Yeah, after I release the ball. Yeah, it
Mm,
kinda stops there.
mm,
Sometimes on the slant, it's the guy, like, kinda diving for the ball or
mhm.
going down with the ball because I gotta put it in the lower
Sure.
portion so it don't get picked off.
That's a weird one.
Yeah. I heard this talked about on Opie and Anthony many years ago. They were talking the one guy was talking about that he all day long imagines he's in a spaceship battling aliens.
Hmm. A guest?
Yeah, I think it was either it was one of the comedians. It was either Jay Moore or Patrice O'Neal, or it was one of those guys that talked about, like, thinking a lot about how they would battle the
Hmm.
aliens if they were in a spaceship.
Yeah, I can't say that I'm afflicted with any anything like that. You have your mind wanders and all that,
Yeah.
like everyone, but nothing that is so repetitive.
Do you do anything where, like, let's say you need to get to sleep? I think you could fall asleep pretty quickly.
Yes.
If you're ever like, let's say you were awakened in the middle of the night by a dream caught you and your heart's racing and you need to relax and get back to bed. Is there anything that you think of or do to that you can ease yourself into a nicer um, situation for your mind and body?
Well, if it's something that is like a very disturbing dream or something like that, usually one or more dogs is in the bed with me.
Yeah,
So once I kind of realize, all right, that was a dream, I'm in bed, everything's okay, and then I will put my hand on the dog or my arm around the dog.
that could
And that,
reset you.
oh, yeah, that's totally, total peacefulness and just like a security. And, you just, yeah, feel your hand on them and they're, whatever. It for me that works a lot.
Do you ever do any breathing things where you like focus on your breath? Breathe in, breathe
Uh,
out.
Very rarely, and on the times when I take longer than 2 minutes to fall asleep, I'll just go count my breath, like, in, 1, out, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, over and over.
Just 1, 2, 1, 2.
Uh-huh, and then and forever how long that takes for
Yeah.
me to fall asleep, which is usually not very long.
I've done the 1, 2, but I'll go up to 10 and then start again. So you go
Mhm.
in 1, out 2, in 3, out 4. And then you'd be surprised how often you're on like 15, 16, and go, oh no, I got to reset
Mhm.
and to me that kind of signals like, oh, I'm falling asleep because I'm getting out
You're
of
not
that.
paying attention.
Yeah, not paying
For
attention.
me, it's just the 1, 2, 1, 2,
Yeah.
because keep it simple.
1, 2. It's almost like a mantra they say when people
Sure.
are meditating, they
Yeah.
do the
Yeah, anything that is like that a simple, repetitive thing to sort of clear your mind.
Yeah.
And sometimes, if you are thinking about things and your mind is racing, you'll those things will intrude and you won't be able to do the 1, 2. Then you just have to
Yes.
really concentrate on the whatever your mantra is.
Right.
To I've never done meditation,
But that's
but
kinda like what it is,
yes,
what
it
you're
is.
describing,
It is, yes.
which is that, you breathe in, you breathe out,
Mhm.
focus on the breath, and they go people will always say, "Oh, but my mind wanders." Yes,
Yeah,
and then you catch it
right.
and bring it
So I
back.
guess it is a form of meditation, but I've never been formally trained
Yeah,
in that.
but that's definitely meditation.
Mhm.
Do you think your dogs dream?
Oh, for sure, I do.
Like, you
Uh,
don't think that's just, the body's reaction to rest, like, where it's like, the dog's going like, and it's moving its legs.
no, I
You
I
think they're
I
dreaming, they're visualizing something?
yes, chasing a squirrel or, seeing someone and every once in a while, they make this sort of almost like a distress noise.
Yeah,
And then I'll sort of, "Hey," I'll just kinda pet them, and they kinda stop, and then they're like, "Oh, okay." Just like for same like a reverse of when I have a bad dream.
yeah,
So, but I do believe I don't know how we can scientifically prove or disprove that, but I would say they do dream for sure.
yeah.
And I've seen videos of a dog dreaming where, and they're doing the running thing, and then all of a sudden they get up and run, they crash into a wall, and they're like, "What? What is going on?" So, yeah, I do believe that they dream.
I wonder if they dream similar to us where it's like they dream of things that actually happened to them, or do they dream like, do they have bad dreams? Are they being chased by, like, I don't know what animal would chase a dog, like a coyote's
Like one
chasing a
that they
dog.
would even know in their head,
Yeah.
like, because our domestic dogs aren't running into lions and bears.
Yeah, like, they're not running into anything dangerous probably
Right.
for the most part, other
R
than other dogs.
right. And, unless they've had a close call with a car or something, I
Yes.
wouldn't think that that's I don't know what would be distressful for them in that case. Maybe they're, in a crate or something, or in the house and nobody's home and they want something. Maybe I'm sure it's simple. I don't want to anthropomorphize and make them be m- thinking deep thoughts,
Yeah,
but
like the dog has to really pee and no one's home, and the dog
yeah,
doesn't wanna pee in the
right,
house, and
right,
this is their dream.
right, something sure, like something like that.
I wonder if my dog dreams of running in a race like she raced the greyhound racing. Like, does
Yeah,
she ever have a dream that she's racing?
I would imagine absolutely.
I'd be
That's
freaked out if my dog got up and took off like you
yeah.
said you've seen videos.
Yeah, you see it like yeah, if you just like Google sleeping dog, or you dream, or you're running or whatever, and you'll see it. I've seen it where a dog is asleep doing the running thing with their legs, but it's more pronounced and intense, and all of a sudden they're up and moving, and then they crash into a wall, wake up from that impact, and are like, "What is going on?"
What the hell just happened?
Yeah,
What do you think dogs think when they look in the mirror?
that's interesting. Some of my dogs have had reaction, others have had no reaction.
Almost like they couldn't even see.
No, they don't recognize it as their self or whatever, but, I know Raymond, my terrier mix, when he looks in the mirror, he knows that there's something. I don't and sometimes I think he at first, he thinks it's another dog, but not really, and then sometimes I think he recognizes it as himself, but that's like a higher level of cognition to sorta recognize your own reflection as yourself.
Right.
That's a higher level of thought. So I think sometimes he is kinda right on the border of understanding truly what it is.
So he's close to breaking
Yeah,
through.
yes, yeah.
Yeah, I think most dogs think it's another dog because I've
Mhm.
seen that reaction where they're like, "Ugh."
Right. But it and others who don't react just kinda see it, but then don't even they know it's not another dog somehow, but don't recognize it as, like, their self. Maybe they think of it as, like, you know, a dog on the TV,
Yeah.
and some of my dogs react to that or have in the past, but most don't, but Raymond does. When he sees a dog or a squirrel or a cat or an animal on the TV, he notices.
Yeah, see, I've seen that too. I've seen dogs watching TV that are very interested in even like, I've seen videos of dogs watching, like, a suspenseful
Mhm.
movie that didn't even involve a dog, and it would be looking concerned.
Hmm.
And then others, like, nothing
Yeah.
n and sometimes the dog barking makes a dog bark, sometimes nothing.
Mhm. And when I had cats, I used to put on either bird or squirrel YouTube things for, like, an hour long, and they would, like, bat at the screen, then they would lose interest. But, like, I would be afraid to do that with Raymond, just squirrel, because 'cause he'd go nuts.
Go right through the television
Because then
set.
and sometimes he'll do the classic, like, he'll run or try to get to the back of the TV to find it, you know, and you don't want him doing all that
Yeah.
destructive, potentially, things.
Do you think your dog ever dreams about you?
I would think he does, so that I'm in there because 'cause I'm part of their lives every day. I walk them, I feed them, I pet them, the whole I would think, but again, these are questions that we might never get the answers to.
Do you think other animals dream? Like, does a fox dream?
I would guess that similar, uh, animals, like, they're canines. I would think that they have similar brain structures, but, they're not domesticated. They don't spend as much time around humans. So maybe not. Maybe there's something about the domestic dog that part of their brain has evolved a little more because they certainly communicate with humans for sure, in their own way. With and they will sort of engage in eye contact with humans where other other non-domesticated canines don't do that. So I would think that they do to some degree. I would say certainly the other primates for sure, I would think do.
Like monkeys?
Yeah, monkeys and chimpanzees and gorillas, and perhaps even some of the cetaceans, the dolphins, the whales. I would think that in there, but I don't know if they truly sleep. I'm sure they have to do something approximating a rest like that, but I don't know if they truly enter the state like we enter when we're asleep because of they're floating in the water. So it's a different, it's a not as deep a level of rest, perhaps, but they have to rest,
Yeah.
obviously. But I would think the simpler you get in your organisms, I would think that sort of the chances of having dreams go way down.
Yeah. I wonder if, dogs have, like we have a recurring dreams sometimes, like, where we can't find, our class in high school, or we
Hmm.
can't find our locker, or things that don't make any sense to us because we were long out of school, but weird recurring
Yeah,
strange dreams like that.
or the board op nightmares.
Yes.
Where you can't, you're the spots aren't firing, you can't find what you need to find, whatever file or commercial or element or whatever. So yeah, those do. I don't have those. I used to have those a lot when I first started running the board,
Yeah,
but
when you were
not as much.
more worried about it.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Now it's, like, not that big a deal, you
No,
wouldn't
it still
panic.
does happen.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a weird one how we still have, like, the
Oh
high
yeah,
school, can't find the locker, can't find the
sure.
class, don't know what my schedule is.
But I haven't had dreams about school, like in the specifics of my grammar school or high school or college for a long time. That's like I barely think about
Yeah.
that anymore. I don't know why, but I don't.
Yeah, well, the real thing would be, like, why are what the for those of us who still have it, why? That seems weirder
Mhm.
to still be thinking about that.
Yeah.
Alright, Eddie, let's do the warm-up show.
Sure.
I did that with
You
CeeLo.
did?
Tomorrow, I'll have CeeLo,
Again?
you again in the postgame,
Yes.
Sal and Boomer hosting.
Yes. And, Friday to be determined.
Friday up in the air.
Right, so it all depends upon the Rutgers USC game tonight.
Yes. Let's go Rutgers, as we say.
Well, no, because we
No,
want Jerry back.
we do want Jerry back.
So let's go USC.
Okay,
All
we'll
right.
have to root for USC then.
So
So